Oh, God. So here's the thing, guys. I think Republicans and American patriots have been kind of maybe too laxed. You know, it seems like Republicans, American patriots, they kind of want to just be left alone. They're just living their life, doing their thing, and they're not thinking about all of this other stuff because this is what we pay the government for, right? This is what they're there for. That's what the Army's there for. It is their job to deal with all of this crap and protect us so we can live our lives in peace, right? But meanwhile, we have the Democrats doing all kinds of crappy things. And they've been getting rich off of it. I mean, they've been getting filthy rich off of it. Enough money that they can pour out into the country to indoctrinate and brainwash people into oblivion. And they're like willing to lay their life down for this. And it's scary as hell. And I see these Gen X kids coming out saying, you know, like, we don't like you Republicans because you call us stupid and indoctrinated. Well, you are. You know, I remember in high school, we picked on each other constantly, made fun of each other. Especially the freshmen always got picked on. I remember when I was a freshman, I got picked on. And then when I was a junior and senior, I picked on the freshmen. You know what I mean? It was just like a thing that happened. But everybody knew that everybody was joking. And it gave you a little bit thicker skin. But nowadays, we got to remember these kids growing up in a different generation where everybody gets a trophy. And they were probably coddled a lot as kids. So when you call them names, they, you know, kind of fly off the hinges and get triggered real easily. But they seem to be like full set for this, you know, like, oh, the Republicans, they're taking women's rights, they're destroying the earth. Who do you think voted to give women rights in the first place? That was the Republicans. Who voted to end slavery? That was the Republicans. And I think that Republicans are still trying to defend women's rights. There's a reason they have their own bathroom and their own sports teams. But men have somehow figured a way to slither their way back in. And yeah, when it comes to destroying the earth, that's a whole nother topic. Because we've come from wood. Burning wood. Caveman wood. And we went all the way to freaking nuclear, dude. Which, as long as you don't build it on a Tornado Alley or too close to the coast, build them responsibly. But we were using the cleanest energy source that we had at the time. You can't just force something into existence that's not there. But I see this chick comes after Donald Trump just like a week or a couple of days or something. Yeah, it seems like it was 3 or 4 days before this comes out, right? This chick, I don't know, she was saying that Donald Trump raped her a while ago, whatever, and just never became anything. And now Donald Trump says he's going to rerun for president, and some people thought that's why this lady was coming forward, because he said he was going to rerun for president. No, now it makes sense. Because this was coming down the pipeline, and they wanted to hocus pocus distract you. Hey, look over here, dumbasses! Donald Trump raped me too. I won $8 million. He touched my beehole! So they basically... Yeah, you can download this for yourself if you want. But the Republicans are looking into Hunter Biden's, which is tying the entire family to it essentially, their overseas business dealings. And if I was a betting man, I would bet both of my testicles today. If I'm wrong, you can come and you can cut them off. I won't even ask any questions. that that Hillary's and the Clintons' accounts look just like this. Just like this. Maybe but from different countries, or maybe the same country. I don't know. But they use these LLCs. 179,000, 179,000, 180,000, 180,000. It's either, maybe this is an LLC for an OnlyFans and they're just like putting all kinds of things up there. I don't know. I don't know. That seems like a lot of money. I mean, what is he doing for that kind of money? Well, they traced these accounts, these LLCs. They traced. Okay, the money came from here and went to here. Okay, where did the money come from there? It came from here. They traced it all the way back to this guy right here. See that name right there? That's China. But you'll see that name again at the bottom here. Goes through the steps of basically funneling the money. They have all kinds of documentation. You can go through this yourself if you want to. They have obviously private stuff blocked out. But here it is. There he is right there. Chairman Yi goes from China to this guy, through all this web of LLCs. Then you have Hunter Biden at the top. James and Sarah Biden right there. Haley Biden there. And then unknown. So do you think maybe, possibly, the unknown could be the big guy himself, Mr. Joe Biden? And he knows his son's a crackhead. He knows he's a loser. So could he be using his own personal family as a shield? In case anything comes collapsing down, he's just going to point the finger at them. Life in prison, life in prison, life in prison, but I can walk. That is a scumbag. He's using his own family as a human shield, it would look like. But this unknown Biden, I mean, come on, people. Seriously? Are you... Come on. And you're voting for this guy? You're more worried about Trump maybe touching somebody's vagina over this? This is treason. This isn't vagina touching. This is treason. Corruption. Tyranny. At the highest level. And that's if he touched the vagina. I'm not saying he did. But he's not doing this. You know what I mean? So is there a perfect precedent? Maybe not. But what's the better option right now? Honestly, in your mind, what's the better option? Sell the country out or a vagina toucher? I mean, it's obvious for me. I'm voting for the vagina toucher every single time. And she's claiming that it was rape. Wasn't it in a department store as well? If it was in a department store, you could, there's other people around, you could just say, hey, I'm being raped! And it would stop like that. I think she liked it. And if you watch the CNN interview, she is a kinky old bitch. She is. They had to cut the interview because she's like, hey, yeah, I like you. Yeah. These people are sick and twisted, man. I'm telling you right now, they are twisted, sick freaking people. I can't believe people are still buying this. Oh, and this just in. Hunter Biden is suing the laptop company for releasing this information. So, you're admitting that the laptop is real, then? Wouldn't this have been bombshell information right before the election? But now they're going to play the victim. It's gonna be white supremacy or racism. We're gonna sue them into oblivion. That's right, I'm a victim. These people are unbelievable. Do you think any of these people give a flying shit about clean energy and saving the planet? I have proof that they don't. And this kind of all ties back to this money being funneled into their bank accounts from China. Because they're selling U.S. policies. They're going to make it. They're going to make sure you give us a couple $1 million, and we'll make sure the United States has to buy all of their stuff for the clean energy from you guys. We'll make sure of it. Trust me. So the Republicans kind of came out and called their bluff and said, okay, all right, you guys want clean energy? So do we. Let's get it done. Let's start mining the lithium, the graphite, all the materials that we need to make these batteries for this clean energy. We'll start mining it right here in the United States so we can keep the jobs here. Let's get it done, right? Bipartisan handshake. Let's do it. And they're like, hold on.
Now, can you tell me what nation is the largest producer of refined lithium in the world?
No, I can't.
It's China. Can you tell me which nation is the largest producer of refined cobalt in the world?
No, Senator.
It's China. Do you know what nation is the largest exporter of natural graphite to the United States globally?
No, Senator.
It's China.
Okay.
So in all of these instances, these mandates, your decision to trade off our energy security in favor of a radical climate change agenda, is making us more and more dependent on China. And at the same time, you are denying mining, blocking permits for mines in this country that would allow us to develop nickel and copper and cobalt. Why?
I don't know. You notice that you can never get a straight answer out of these people. They always stonewall and just drag it out, and they just repeat the same stupid line that they were told to say the entire time. And this part gets me a little crazy. Like, it makes my mind. See, my mind. It starts twitching and going crazy because, like, what is wrong with these people? They're saying the world is going to end in 2020 and we're still here. But now they're saying it's going to end in 9 years. Has anyone been to the Plymouth Rock? It's like 40 minutes from my house. That son of a gun's been in the same place as long as I can remember. From what they're saying, it should be 10 feet underwater by now, but it's not. But if we were, like, really, humanity's at risk, we're all going to be dead in 9 years, then this would be a special circumstance. I would say even child labor is okay at this point, right? Because we got to get it done or we're all dead. And yet, the Republicans are like, okay, let's do this. But they are blocking. No, you can't. You're not allowed to get the stuff from the United States. You got to buy it from China. Because Joe Biden got paid, and his family got paid to make these policies, and now we're getting a little kickback, and we gotta just say whatever they tell us to say, or we lose our job. And then there's people like my boss that really just, like, screws me sideways, because I'm like, hey, did you watch the Senate hearings this weekend? Any of them? And he's like, no, why would I do that? I'm like, just, so you can know what's going on. Maybe. And he's like, no, I can form my own opinion, thank you very much. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So he just kind of votes left because, we work in a really rich area. And they all vote left, so he finds the need to kind of, like, fit in. You know what I mean? Because if, God forbid, someone found out that he voted for Trump, then he wouldn't get any jobs, But it's like he honestly believes all of this shit that he's been fed. And yet he doesn't actually go out and watch anything. He doesn't watch the Senate hearings. He doesn't ask the questions that are being asked. He doesn't see any of it. And these people are so sure of themselves. And then just the other day, he had to go and pick up this roll of rubber roofing material. And it was like 3 or 4 times more expensive than what he remembered the last time he had to buy something like this. He's like, oh my God, we're going to go out of business if it keeps up like this. I'm like, yeah, well, you voted for this. I didn't. He's like, oh, shut up.
What the Republican Party doesn't understand about Gen Z is we don't like you. You claim you want to appeal to Gen Z, but you call us stupid, you say we're dumb, you say we're indoctrinated. I promise it's a losing strategy. And Gen Z is watching the Republican Party extremely closely as they destroy our environment, take rights away from women, do nothing about kids being shot in schools, and if they think they can give the middle finger to our generation and get away with it, they're sorely mistaken.
Yeah, and that's what we're up against. That's what happens when you give trophies to every single kid. Yep, that's what you've created. And first off, if you think the Republicans or the American patriots are going to stand down and let you destroy the country, you're sadly mistaken. They claim that we are destroying the country. We're destroying the earth. Well, we just saw the Republicans called them out on it, and it has nothing to do with the earth in the first place. It has to do with this stuff. It always has to do with this stuff. And this is what got me into politics, is money. I followed the freaking money, man. Hey, I want to be like the rich people one day. Let's start learning how money works. Let's follow money. And it led me straight to where I am. I started to see all of the lies and corruption of the left, and all of the bullshit that they're pulling, and the right calls him out on it so many times. Oh, but you gotta buy it from China! And they claim that Republicans aren't doing anything about the school shootings. Is that just a Republican problem? First off, these things have a much bigger purpose. Number one, these give us a chance of defending ourselves from a tyrannical government. And if you cannot clearly see with two open eyes that our government is already there, then you're not looking. So, just take guns away and there won't be any more school shootings. Come on. Marathon bombers did not use any guns. They made homemade cocktails and blew them up and killed lots of people. So you take guns away, you think school deaths are just going to stop all of a sudden? No. They're just not going to be by guns. And then people, I just saw the other day, it was a left-leaning person, or no, it was a leftist, ran over some kid, 18-year-old kid, because he thought he was part of some right-wing extremist group. And this dude called the police on himself and said, yeah, I ran him over and killed him. $50,000 bail, and he walked right out. Essentially, looks like he's getting away with murder. But if it was a right-leaning person that ran over an Antifa member, they'd be in jail for life. Do you see how this works? Does it have anything to do with the environment? I don't think so. Does it have anything to do with school shootings? I don't think so. Do you think there would be as many school shootings as there is right now if the news and the media wasn't injecting this hatred and division into the country? If you are essentially resegregating people, and Joe Biden is the last of the old segregationists, basically undoing what MLK did. I have a dream, right? We all kind of came together for a while, and then all of a sudden, COVID, and undo. We're going to separate people by race and gender. We're going to cause them to fight each other. Fight. There's going to be lots of shootings. We need lots of shootings so that we can say, hey, look, They're shooting each other, so we need to take all the guns away. Because if they take the guns away, then you have no way to fight the tyranny. Because when it boils down to it, when they get too far, and we don't have a way to stop them, it's not like you can say, hey, can we have our guns back, please? Because you've gone too far. Because at that point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. You're not getting them back. You're not getting your rights back. You're not getting anything back. I recommend you grab one of these and read it all the way through. And you can actually even do one better. We can go online. You see this? Bill of Civil Rights. Whoop, there it is. Roll call tally on Civil Acts of 1964. Look at this. There's all the names and who voted. You can actually go through these names and figure out who they were. But I'll summarize for you. The nays column is majority Democrats and the KKK right there. You see that? See those two names right there? Bird? That's the KKK. Or two members of. The yeas column is majority Republicans. It's right there. So, they say, we had nothing to do with the KKK. There's a paper trail, and not only on top of that, there's video evidence. Well, you were at their funeral giving a speech. Oh, don't be so hard on him for being in the Klan. Isn't this what you're fighting? You claim you have nothing to do with? But you actually did. So, yeah. I think it's about numbers of people that have these things that keep the government from overstepping very, very quickly. Because they've been clearly overstepping for a while now, and really nothing's been done about it. Because it's been very, very slow, and they know they need to do it like that. You know, they're kind of killing off the rest of the anti-communist American patriots. And then even if you have a kid, well, they want to try to abort that right away. Abort! But even if you do have that kid, then they're going to say, well, you don't have a say in your kid's education, so we're going to brainwash your kid before you can instill your values into your kids. It's been a very, very slow psychological war. And if you honestly believe that they give a shit about the environment or your rights, your right to abortion, your right to go into the girl's bathroom, your right, they don't care. I hate to tell you, but they don't care. And you're going to find that out one day. But see, some of us already know it, but you're fighting to take our guns away. And once you take our guns away, then we're all going to be living a shitty life, and we're all not going to have a way to defend ourselves. Or reverse course. And if you are so interested in what's coming, I've got a great little video clip just for you guys. It's hilarious because of the commentary, but it's sickening at the same time. Check this out. So I apologize, this is kind of long, but for you kids that are pushing this equity and inclusion, this is exactly what it looks like in practice. This is what you are fighting for.
What's it like to live where you work? For lazy Americans, it's unthinkable. But imagine living and working at one of the biggest factories in the world, a workplace the size of Monaco. For these 17,000 employees, it's reality. They come from all over China, Vietnam, and France to work at this factory called UPA. Workers craft coffee makers, American flags, and electric grills in staggering quantities every single day. But Yupa is more than a steady paycheck. It's home. People get married here, they learn government propaganda here, and the work never stops. Yupa's managers are on a mission to see just how far they can exploit human labor and bend workers' rights laws to explode China's economy into the realm of complete global takeover. Step behind the closed doors of a factory where everyone wears bright yellow shirts and is shot on sight if they ever wear orange. Welcome to the place that calls itself China Number 1. Within the next hour, about 8 of Yupa's 17,000 workers will have died from overwork and exhaustion. Every day, Yupa makes 16,000 irons. Every month, Yupa makes about 36,000 coffee makers, which is about one for every Starbucks in a 5-mile radius. And every year, these laborers produce enough body sweat to quench even the thirst of Shaquille O'Neal. Chances are you own something built in China. Since 2002, China has taken advantage of an incredible system called trade, which allows them to make goods for other countries in exchange for money. These factories are so common in China, there's a saying among the locals which translates to English to mean, "I plan to inseminate my factory." Someone has to make sure that the factory's parts are always getting to the right place at the right time. This is Ming Long He. He's been working at Yupa since he was 4 years old. I am in charge of production control and control of production. If even a single department falls behind, I will be executed, and that is bad. If any of Yupa's factories run out of parts, then that means the Earth has run out of resources, since China is so massive. We steal billions and billions of tons of resources from our dumb planet every single day. There's nothing Earth can do about it. But hey, if we don't, then my job's on the line, and I'd rather not be fired. Today, a problem in the iron department needs ironing out. Workers on the iron line are often strong and drunk. Their heads swim with beer and rice wine fumes so that they can ignore their dangerous and unsafe working conditions while handling molten hot and bullishly strong metals. Just now, I found out the main problems here at the iron department. One major problem is that these drunkards don't realize that you can make more than just steam irons from iron. Traditional plants use outside suppliers for their components, but not Yupa. They import all of their pieces from the rest of China, meaning their products end up being cheap pieces of shit. But sometimes even the suppliers can be dangerously low on stock. Here, Mr. He and the leader of the iron negotiate a treaty that will provide the iron workers with more booze if they stop eating the tin cans. But now the grill factory is low on a crucial component: enthusiasm. The grill team is notoriously lazy, choosing to only work 12 hours a day, and occasionally taking a Sunday off entirely. Workers make about 50,000 grills every day, or about 200 billion per month, when adjusted for space inflation. Grills bring in $69 million a year, which makes Yupa say, nice. There's no wonder that this pissed off guy is so pissed off. Workers on the grill line are also expected to be strong to maneuver around all these heavy parts, so daily strength training, as seen here, is mandatory. Mr. Ye supervises 850 workers, and despite his name, is constantly pissed off. It just doesn't make sense to me. Is a hot dog a sandwich or not? No one here will give me a straight fucking answer. Mr. Ye is obsessed with quality control. His strategy? Call competing Chinese factory managers to challenge them to a gunfight over each other's resources. In a factory this big, it's incredible nothing has exploded yet. This is my dinner plate. You notice something? It's fucking empty. Because this worker right here is too much of an incompetent cucksucker to fetch me my dinner. I'm gonna jam these metal brackets into his eyes. These metal brackets are coincidentally used to attach the grill's core heating element to the frame. Mr. Hee Haw has to find a fresh supply of grill parts, or else we'll end up with a lot of blind Chinese people. If I don't get the parts, then these glasses are gonna do fuck all against Mr. Ye's brackets. The first part to arrive to the factory are rifle bullets, loaded into AK-47s for security to use in case they spy any nearby Japanese citizens. The grill plates can also double as a club or a shield should any foreigners try to come to the factory and steal our designs. Power cords are also connected here. Hell, just yank out the wires to the battery. If you aim for the heart, it'll hopefully act like a taser and drop them to the goddamn floor. Here's the main action of the grill. Put the invader's head between the plates and smash it thusly. You can also cook food on the grill if you so desire. On a typical day, for every meal cooked on one of these grills, 3 people will be beaten to death with one. Missing parts is a big whoopsie-daisy for the factory, and it's up to Mr. He to measure just how much of a shit the company gives that he'll lose his job if he doesn't find them. This sad clip was of Mr. He negotiating rations for his starving family back home. Then, Mr. He heads home to a company-subsidized apartment, just steps away. His wife, Christine Winchester, also works at the factory. And so does his son, Alphabet Soup. His family and in-laws also live here, most not by choice, but it all comes together to help instill a fierce loyalty to the company. I am totally happy living here. It's just the best. I am in no way wanting someone to come and save me and my family. Coming up in part 2, find out what it's like to leave your entire family behind, so you can live inside a glorified IKEA. It's a place tourists never see, the new face of modern China. Hungry for profits, and ready to get together in small U-shaped groups. Near the city of Xiaomai, the Yupa complex sprawls for over 1.8 million millimeters. Vice President Michael Hu was invited to comment on Yupa's size, but his audio was accidentally muted because we outsourced our editing to China. There's about 60 to 70 assembly lines, which have roughly 25 to 30 workers, which by the Chinese government standards counts as almost 20 people. 25 years ago, there were no factories here, only farms. In the 1980s, the Chinese government decided capitalism wasn't so bad after all. The communist regime established so-called special economic zones, designated places to stack fat paper to the ceiling. Yupa, a Taiwanese company, moved here in 1988 and did absolutely everything in its power to rip off IKEA. Yupa operates as its own city, with restaurants, soccer fields, public execution squares, basketball courts, and living quarters for any type of family. Yupa uses mass production because it keeps costs low and allows more than one worker to work at a time. Is my mic working? Is it on? Check 1 2. You guys scheduled me for 8:30 and it's already 10, so I'd like to know if you fixed the problem or not. Yupa's main advantage is operating as a shameless ripoff of IKEA, but its second main advantage is cheap labor, working for yuan on the dollar. "16-year-old Mao Fen Guo left her family and came here in 2008, making her about 65 years old today. Guo wasn't just looking for work, She was looking for the fountain of youth and got really, really lost along the way. In China, many families prefer sons to daughters. My mother only has 2 daughters, and she's always upset about that. So in order to make our family proud, I took a tire iron to her face and then fled here. Guo is a worker in training with about 1,000 other students. She'll get a college degree, putting her in massive amounts of debt that she may never be able to pay off without even the guarantee of a job. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading the script from the episode on colleges in America. At the very beginning, I thought it would be very difficult, but it turns out that stabbing the biggest motherfucker you see in the lunch line with a sharpened spoon is still a great way to earn respect. Today, Guo and her cellmates are being taught how to use an iron in school, which is hilariously misogynistic. To stay protected in Yupa's walls, Guo must join a gang. I joined the Blues because when they mix with the uniform, they make green, you know what I'm saying? Respect the headband. Also, the name's G-Wow now. It's got more street cred. Workers produce about 60,000 irons a day at Yupa, except on days off, where they only produce about 40,000. With over 3 steps of assembly, iron making is intricate work. Assembly first starts with a water spray unit made up of a series of springs. And, excuse me, I had something in my throat. The sprayer and spout join the handle and are placed into a giant heating unit. This is where the iron is fused with iron. Next, the iron's internal monitoring and spy hardware are attached to the base. Sometimes, if the workload is particularly intense, employees from the nearby New Balance factory will pitch in. A plastic buffer is placed on all of this to ruin any chances of the iron being recycled. Once everything is attached together, the iron can't help but squirt with joy. Faulty irons are either repaired, removed, or asphyxiated in a plastic bag to hide the company's shame. Oster Appliances have officially stated that if it weren't for Chinese labor, their irons would cost about $11 bazillion, which is about 1 bazillion more than a standard iron. Like China, G-Wow is adapting to a world of high technology and gang violence. But as we'll see in Part 3, other employees are adjusting to the married life because they're married to the company. Based in southeast China, Yupa is one of the biggest factories on the planet. Today, and every day, its 17,000 workers are getting the world ready for breakfast. In the next 24 hours, it will produce over 1,200 coffee makers for Americans to eat at breakfast time. Over the next 30 days, these assembly lines will produce 210,000 cappuccino machines and 9 severed fingers. In the span of 1 year, nearly 2.5 million coffee makers will pour out of Yupa, with an impressive failure rate of just 40%. And at the center of all this is Yang Li.
我非常喜欢亲我的女朋友的奶子，因为它们很大。我决定你，她跑步的时候，她的奶子会咬来咬去。
It appears we have forgotten to hire a translator for Mr. Yang Li. Li's mandate is ridiculous and oppressive. Any and all problems that could hurt production must be euthanized immediately.
Sorry, I didn't know you guys wanted me to speak English. I just assumed you guys would dub over me in post with a voice actor. To be fair, I am the only one in the factory who doesn't normally speak English.
Today, the schematics for the rocket-propelled dildo have arrived, and Lee has a new problem. Retrofit the existing coffee maker parts and molds into sex toys capable of hitting Mach 2. Hundreds of potential jobs, and billions of Chinese yuan, in other words, hundreds of dollars, are now on the line and in Lee's hands.
Adapting production lines is a huge portion of my job. Last year, we had blueprints come in for a batch of submarines. Entire submarines. I don't know how I did it, but somehow all those old steam irons made one hell of an underwater vehicle.
Lee starts on the prototype with the main assembly. He doesn't start with the additional assembly because that wouldn't make any sense. If any of you watching at home assume that Lee would start with the additional assembly, you're a fucking moron. Lee has to get more parts from the supplier. It's a short walk, since Yupa has condensed 90% of China's industry into one warehouse, but along the way, someone special is waiting for him. The person helping him today is his cousin. These circumstances make Yupa one of the most awkward places of employment on the planet. With a workforce of 17,000, many of the original Yupa workers married each other and had children who would grow up to work in the factory. Eventually, it became too complicated to keep incest out of the bloodlines.
Sorry, I skipped out and showered while you were watching, but you see, like I said, it's hilarious, but it's true and scary, right? And if you can go find that video on YouTube, and if you start watching towards the end, they start getting into social credit scores. And they actually go in and start showing the different apartments. So if you go along with it, you get this apartment, and you can have kids here, you can get married, right? But if you don't go along with it, essentially you get a jail cell. It's a bunch of bunk beds shared with many people. So this is equity and inclusion, right? This is equality. Everybody has the same apartment, the same job, which I'd be willing to look if I could get it. I wonder what the suicide rate is at a place like that. Might be interesting data, but yeah, it's equality. Everyone has the same job. No one has a car. You have free housing, free food, free healthcare, and a job supplied for you. But if you wanted to become that factory owner, which is what you have at least the option to do in the United States, you don't have that option there. You have kids. Your kids get free school, which they are indoctrinated to become good workers for that company. And then it's generation after generation after generation. If you ever watched the movie The Matrix, I think they nailed it right on the head, right? They're creating these humans to become a battery or a power source, right? They're just trained and we're just going to work for you. Meanwhile, the people at the top are riding around in their yachts and their private jets. Does that sound like equality to you? At least here in the United States, you have the option, you have the choice, you have the ability, and maybe it's through, and some people might be able to nail it in one generation, but some people aren't that lucky, and maybe it takes 2 generations or 3 generations to get there. But that's the thing, you know what I mean? Maybe your parents suffered their entire lives, paycheck to paycheck, maybe had something when they got older, and they passed it down to you and said, hey, try to become somebody. Do something. And see, what's really beautiful is when those kind of people get out there and then they do something good for the world. Like they go out and they actually try to help the homeless. They try to help this people. They try to help those people. They try to help the poor. But that doesn't seem to be what's going on for the most part. It seems like people are greedy. Greedy assholes, man. It's sad. It's sickening. But this is what you guys are voting for. If you're voting Democrat, this is what you are voting for. So please, please do your homework. Reconsider voting Republican. Republicans don't hate you. They don't think you're stupid. We do think you're indoctrinated, but you can become unindoctrinated very quickly. Just do a little homework. Maybe come talk to a few of us. Have a conversation. But you see, that's something you're not allowed to do anymore. You notice there's a lot of people that are trying to go to colleges and campuses, and they're trying to bring up the topic of gender, because that's a big one, right? And then you have the enforcers that come out. Maybe they're not trans or anything, but they come out and they're like, hey, you're not allowed to do this here. This is hate speech. This is racist. And by you even being here talking about this, you are committing violence upon these people, and they've all run home. You triggered them and they all ran home. All they were trying to do was have a conversation. But then you see the enforcers come out and block it. You notice that? All we want to do is talk. And if you can't talk, that's when war happens. As soon as the talking stops, that's when bullets start flying. And there's been so many people that have come out and said, we want to prevent war. We don't want war. But it seems like the Democrats do. In every single case. Because every time you look at the Democrats, it's war, 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 war. Drone strikes this, drone strikes that. And then Republicans are in office and we have peace. We have world peace. Nobody sees any of this? Oh, God. Make sure you vote with your head. See you later. What in the hell? Nancy Pelosi, what are you doing here? Get out of here.